This is a very exciting day for me. I have a complete 1 ton per hour turnkey system set back up at the shop. Now this video is gonna irritate some of you. Let me explain why. Over the summer, we've been working in our gold mine. We've been taking out bags and bags of ore that you can see here behind me. I am not gonna crush those bags today. I know everyone wants to see me crush them. That's what you've all been waiting for. It's gonna happen. So here's the deal. Before I crush any of our good ore that we mined, I have to set up the system, get it tuned in. I wanna know from you guys, would you rather have me not make this video, do all the setup off camera, so the next video that comes out is the one of me crushing the ore from the mine? Or would you like to see all kind of the behind the scenes stuff, how we set up the equipment, how we run it, and then you get more content from me? So leave a comment down below with what you think. But today, we're gonna be crushing some of these bags of ore here behind me. This stuff came from the same mine that I've been working in the summer. About 5 years ago, I went up, got some of this stuff, bagged it up. What I wanna do today is take one of these bags, run it through the system to get everything tuned in. We'll get the ore, we'll smelt it down, we'll do the whole process, and then on a future video in a couple of weeks, we'll run all that ore that you saw in the white tent. Now let's get this thing fired up and we'll crush some ore and get some gold. The whole process starts here with our jaw crusher module, where the raw ore is crushed down to about 3/4 inch minus, brought up this conveyor belt into this holding bin for even feeding up to our hammer mill. This orange vibrating tray at the bottom evenly feeds the material onto a conveyor belt, up into the hammer mill for fine crushing, and then down onto our shaker table for final concentration. The hopper of the jaw crusher can take a large volume of ore. Here's a look down the jaws of the 8x12 jaw crusher. The material falls right out the bottom of the crusher onto the conveyor belt that feeds up to the hopper. The vibrating tray at the bottom of the conveyor hopper is constantly pulling material out from the bottom at an even rate, and then the crushed ore is discharged onto this conveyor belt and brought up into the hammer mill. The hammer mill does all the hard work of crushing the ore down to powder. It's run wet to keep the dust down, and there's 20 swinging chrome hammers in the hammer mill which crush the material through a 0.8 millimeter screen and feed the slurry down onto the shaker table. This is our 4x8 shaker table. It is constantly pulling out the heavy sulfides, gold, tellurides from the liberated light gangue minerals such as quartz and calcite. The 4x8 shaker table has grooves as opposed to riffles, which allows the very, very fine gold to settle down in those grooves and are moved across to the concentrate side of the shaker table. Any other dense minerals like sulfides or tellurides also settle down into those grooves, but once they get to the end of the grooves, they can't move up the shaker table anymore, and they form a band down into the number 3 concentrates. Only the very heaviest material can settle in those long 4 grooves and are pulled up onto the cleaning plane of the shaker table, where they work their way down into the number 1 and number 2 concentrates. The quartz tailings are fed off the shaker table into the spiral classifier, where they settle to the bottom of the spiral classifier. The dewatered tailings are augured up and out of the spiral classifier into a super sack that we can later crush or dispose of. And one of the huge advantages to the spiral classifier is it dewaters your tailings and saves your settling pond volume. This turnkey system works really, really well. We're really happy with it, and it's great to have another one that I can experiment with, run the samples, and show you guys what's in our ore. We just finished up our run. I'm letting the shaker table clean off a little bit. I'll brush it all down, and then we'll take our stuff in and pan it. The other interesting part about this whole thing is when I brought this stuff down, it was back in 2020, I think. Gold was about $1,500, $1,800 an ounce, and now it's $4,000. So whatever I get out of this is 2.5 times the value of what it was if I processed it 5 years ago. If you guys are interested in more information on this equipment, check out our other YouTube channel, Mount Baker equipment. I'll leave a link below. We've got lots of info about all of our equipment on there. Lots of videos dedicated to an in-depth dive on this stuff, how it works, maintenance, all that kind of stuff. Be sure to subscribe too if you're interested in equipment. I gathered up the number 2 concentrates. I got them here in this bucket, and I'm just rerunning them on the table because I don't want to pan all that. It's really hard to pan, and I just want to run on the table and concentrate it again. And I'll show you all this fine gold right here. Got down to the number 2, but you see how fine it is? You couldn't see individual pieces, and there's hundreds of pieces in each one of these little grooves, or these little streams over there, and then there's a yellow line right at the head of our sandbar, and it's coming right down right into our number 1 concentrates again. All the black sand sulfides are going off. They're coming down here into the number 3 middlings now, which is fine. I'll regrind those later. A little bit coming into the number 2, but all of our really high-grade concentrates are coming into our number 1 now. So that's going to save me a ton of time panning, and I won't have panning losses. It just really increases the efficiency of the whole operation when I can run those number 2 back on the table. Here's our number 1 and number 2 high grade. I'll get it in this pan. We'll pan it down, see what we can see. Look at all that fine gold right at the base where the black sand meets the pan. All that is gold. Very, extremely fine. So we're on the right track. There's a nice pile of it there. Look at that. Well, there's a little bit of a rough clean up. There's still quite a bit of gold and tellurides down there, but you can see the pile of gold. All that behind it is a nice pile of fine gold, and then the coarser stuff, which there isn't very much of, is up there right at the head of the crease. All right, now I got all our gold sucked up in our snuffer bottle. I'm going to take out the straw here. Shake all the goodies down in the bottom here. Oh, that's a lot of gold. This works really well. I don't know how I came up with this, but we're just going to get as much gold as we can. Try not to drip it all over like that. Just get it down in the bottom there. Now we just wring out as much water as we can. Paper towels are a little bit light duty here, so I'm going to double up. There we go. Take my wife's good kitchen scissors she's been looking for. Cut the extra off. Now we'll go put that in the furnace with a little bit of bismuth. Get you a good view here. Okay, open up our furnace. We got our cupel in there all preheated. Put our little gold packet right there on top. All that paper towel is going to burn off. Got a couple little pieces of bismuth here. We're not really trying to refine it much. It's pretty pure already. So we're just going to add our bismuth right there. That's going to melt, collect all that gold. Well, our free gold is in the furnace getting refined with the bismuth. I wanted to do another little experiment here. What I've done is I've taken the panning tailings out of our tub there. I've panned them down again to the concentrates. And there's a little bit of free gold that I missed. You might be able to see it in the corner there. But I think there's some tellurides here that might have some gold in them, so we're gonna smelt them down. All right, we got about 100 grams of cons. Let's mix up some flux. I get a lot of people asking about a flux recipe for concentrates. Here's mine. I have 100 grams of concentrates. I'm gonna add 100 grams of soda ash to this. Whoop, a little bit more, 130. I'm gonna add 60 grams of anhydrous borax. I'm gonna pay attention to what I'm doing this time. And then about 30 or 40 grams of silica sand. Now we mix it all up. We've got it all mixed up, pretty homogeneous. There's nothing stuck to the bottom. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of collector. This is bismuth oxide. It's quite heavy, so you don't need much. I'm gonna add about 20, 25 grams. And this is going to act as the collector metal, and it'll essentially rain down through the charge as it's melting, collect the gold, and bring it all down to the bottom to a metal puddle at the bottom of the crucible. 25. Get it in a crucible here without spilling any. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, it'll fit. Take it over and put it in the furnace. Okay, let's rock and roll. We are cooling down. I don't know what that big old growth on top there is, but we're cool enough where I'm going to put a little bit of water on it. And I add water because bismuth has a really low melting point, and there have been several times where I've turned this thing over and the bismuth wasn't solid. All right, let's see what we got. I'm going to try and yell over the rainstorm that's going on out there. So there's no matte layer, it's just metal and slag, which is good. I've got it cleaned up about as much as I want to. The problem with bismuth versus lead, bismuth is really brittle, and so if I hammer on this thing too hard, the button will break. Let's see how much this thing weighs, just out of curiosity. I put 25 grams of bismuth in. Wow, 38. Wonder where all that weight came from. What did I put in? 25. So there should be 24 grams of bismuth. And we got 40, so we got 15 extra grams of something. It might be those tellurides. The furnace is up to temperature. We got a new cupel for the panning, tailings, panning cons, whatever you want to call these. Let's see what we get. So let's take a look. There's our puddle in there in the cupel. We'll check on our button one more time here. We should be getting pretty close. I don't see any raindrops on it, but it's surprisingly large. I didn't think it would be anywhere close to that size. I can't remember what I filmed, but the panning tailings that I repanned didn't have that much gold in them. So if that's done cupelling, that is a significant amount of gold that was probably tied up in those tellurides. Let's pull it out and see what happens here. I'm actually running out of time. I mean, it looks pretty done to me. Wow, that is a huge button. Cool. That's awesome. We'll see what it looks like when I get it cooled down and cleaned off. See, it's not ready. See how it's dark? That tells me that we got a tellurium problem. So let me add bismuth and see if I can get it cleaned up some more. When you get your button frosting over like that at the end, after you don't have any raindrops on top of it, no oxides coming off, for me that means that's a tellurium problem. But I'm gonna add just a little tiny bit of bismuth, let it run to completion essentially, and then I'm gonna add probably 5 more of these, just one at a time. And in the past, I found that helps clean up the button. There's something about right at the end, as the last bits of oxides go off, it cleans up the tellurium. Let's see if I can do all this at the same time. Okay, here we go. Open it, put the bismuth on the button, and immediately turned molten again and started running the oxides off. So it'll take a minute or two. I'm gonna let all those oxides get absorbed, and then I will add more bismuth. All right guys, well, I have run out of time. I'm filming this on Halloween night and I gotta go trick-or-treating with my kids. So, I did a plan, put in some bismuth. I hope it worked enough to get us a yellow button. Well, here's our 2 buttons. This is the stuff from that I panned out and put through the paper towel, direct cupelled. This is the stuff we smelted. We know it's not quite pure, but it's very dense. I can feel the weight, and I'm guessing it's 95% pure. It's not as yellow as the pan and cons, but it's definitely yellow. It's got some yellow showing through. So let's see what they both weigh. We'll start with the nice yellow ones. That one's 5.9 grams. And this one is 5.3 grams. So again, that might be 5 grams of gold or 4.5 grams of gold. But if you put those 2 together, by weight, there's 10 grams of gold there, roughly. That's really, really cool. I got 10 grams of gold out of a bag of crap I've had sitting there for 5 years. So now that I got the turnkey system going, stay tuned for me crushing at least 1 ton of run-of-mine ore from my new gold mine, as well as the sample that Harry and I got from the Golden Griffin. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you on the next video.